Hi, everyone. Welcome to the VO Boss Podcast and the Real Bosses series. I'm your host, Ann Ganguzza, and I'm delighted to be here with Mr. Tom Dheere. Yay!
Yay! Hello, Ann.
Hi, Tom.
Yes.
Guess what, Tom? It's that time of year again.
It is.
You know, when everybody's going back to school.
Back to school. Oh, yeah. I already bought my Trapper Keeper.
Oh my gosh. I used to love those. You know, that was one of my favorite things about going back to school is buying office supplies and getting ready. And I was one of those rare, I don't know, Tom, if you were one of those students, but I loved school. Love school. And it was always exciting to me to, number one, go back for the social component of things and then to go back and I don't know, I always wanted to advance in my subjects. And so I was always excited about learning.
Yeah. Me too.
You know?
I do love school supplies. Like if anyone who knows
right?
me as just me or me as the VO strategist, of course he loves school supplies.
Right.
You know, sharpened
for your
pencils and
spreadsheet
rulers
and
and
your-
everything being organized.
Paper clips and
Yes.
clothes, my new school clothes, you know.
Yes.
Right, so.
Love the school clothes. Got to get the new school clothes.
Well, then
Absolutely.
speaking of school, you know, I mean, maybe it's time that we have a chat about coaching in this industry. And does it matter, Tom? There's so much information out there. Does it matter? Is it beneficial? Let's chat about that.
Well, one, first, it's funny that we actually haven't talked about this in the few years that we've
know,
done
right?
the Real Bosses podcast. And two, you know, there's an old saying, which is never ask an encyclopedia salesman if you need an encyclopedia.
Yes,
so
exactly.
you asking me, a voiceover coach, if voice actors need voiceover coaching, will say, well, of course, the answer is yes.
I know.
But
And for me to say, do we need coaching
Right.
as a coach and
Exactly.
demo producer? Of course, we're going to say.
So yes,
but-
full disclosure, of course, we as coaches,
Yes.
you know, but here's the thing about it is that I know Ann does not accept everybody that wants to work with her. And I know that I don't accept everybody that wants to work with me for all kinds of reasons. But every voice actor, regardless of where they are in their journey, needs coaching. You always need to be learning. The greatest baseball players and musicians, everyone has a coach. Tiger Woods has a swing coach. Aaron Judge has a baseball bat swing coach as opposed to a golf swing coach. All the greatest artists and athletes have coaching. Do they know more than most? Can they do it better than most? Of course, it's why they are in the positions that they are in, doing what they're doing, making what they're making, being as famous as they are. But it's a constant sort, you know, all the arts, there needs to be a constant level of education, re-education, continuous learning as they say.
Absolutely. And if you're just starting out in the industry, you have to have a fundamental base. And there is, you know, I am the biggest, you know, Google, whatever. I am the biggest lover of, you know, search the internet, find the answers. Because, I mean, gosh, back in the day, you remember when we used to have to do research, we'd have to actually go to the library and then you would write, I'd have to write notes for my term paper on index cards.
What is this library you speak
What is this
of?
library?
Rari? I don't know.
What is this library? Well, the library is at our fingertips. And so we can, there's so much out there. And Tom, both you and I put out a lot of content in regards to this industry and, you know, the business of the industry and performance. I give out performance tips. And so I think a lot of times when you're first starting out, it can be really overwhelming. And so having a source, a coach to go to kind of make it less overwhelming can be an actual advantage. As well as for me, what was I saying the other day? Oh, in my Pilates class, I was like, yeah, I pay to go to this Pilates class so I can do the stretching on the foam roller that I have here at home and I just don't do, right? So I go and use the foam roller that's at the Pilates studio, but there's something to be said in being in a classroom and actually saying, I am dedicating this time for me to learn something or to grow myself.
Yeah.
And coaching is a big part of that.
I agree. The ability to take time and money to commit to a process that, you know, to a certain degree, you could do some of it on your own, but a lot of people, most people, I would say. Like, the reason why I have so many mentorship students that I have is that they're like, I just need to have someone to talk to once a month, bounce ideas off of, and hold me accountable for it. And when you have, and I love accountability buddies, and I love stand-up groups and meet-up groups, but when they actually have to fork money over to me to basically be a paid accountability buddy, there is something to that.
Something to that.
I mean, and also, when you're in an accountability buddy group with an accountability buddy or a mastermind group or stand-up group, that's all great, but most of them are peers.
Yes,
with
absolutely.
the same level of experience and knowledge as you, as opposed to working with you or me or another coach who is just have, scads of knowledge and experience and the ability to disseminate that knowledge effectively. And also, I know you keep up with industry trends on a performance and technology and business and marketing level. So do I. We have to do that to be relevant and effective. We have our means. I mean, we read the same blogs and watch the same podcasts as everybody else, but I know I have my own little secret methods of how I'm keeping up with things, and I'm sure you do too, that we're able to aggregate and have in a concise manner to say, this is what's going on in the industry. This is how it applies to you. Right. These are the decisions that you could make based on who you are, your talent level, your experience level, the time you have, the money you have, that could get you where you want to go.
Well, and the accountability, it doesn't just stop with the student. I mean, the coach is accountable. And that is, I think, where the difference is between peer accountability groups. Because peer accountability groups, we can say, you were supposed to do this last week, or this was on your goal sheet. But the stakes are not as high, I don't believe, in a peer accountability group as a coach, because coaches are judged on their effectiveness, right? And they get business based upon their effectiveness and word of mouth. So when you want to go, work with someone where that is a factor, you're going to get education that I think really counts and is really intentional, and therefore I believe the quality of that is going to be better. It's going to be directly customized, especially if it's one-on-one coaching. And I do both group coaching and one-on-one coaching. But really, when you get that one-on-one time with a coach, there's nothing better than that, because I offer group coaching as well, but that one-on-one time is precious. That is where it is all about you. It's customized just for you, your career, your growth. And that is where I think coaching really shines, and why it still matters. I think it matters more today than it did in years past, because there's so much more competition out there, Tom. And there's, of course, the synthetic competition out there. And we need to really create a footprint for ourselves, or a voice print really for ourselves, that is unique and that is competitive and that can actually connect with our audience, which is what our clients are paying us for.
Yeah, there are more voiceover opportunities for voice actors of all experience levels than ever before. There's more genres than ever. There are more casting sites than ever. Because when I just started, there was radio commercials and TV commercials, and not that much. I mean, there was e-learning, reel-to-reel kind of stuff. There wasn't that much more. Now there's app narration, explainer videos, audio description. There's just so many other ways to get work. But the flip side of that, Ann, is that it's so complicated, because there's almost like there's too many choices, and there's too many coaches, and there's too many casting sites, and there's too many blogs, and too many podcasts, and too many DAWs, and too many CRMs, and the ability to navigate that and make sure that their time and money is well spent. It's a huge challenge. I mean, I'm on Reddit pretty regularly, hanging out on the voiceover related subreddits and listening and watching and giving advice and stuff like that, and they all say the same thing. I don't know where to find a good coach. I don't know how to vet a good coach.
Isn't that funny? That's always the
question.
That's always the question, because I think everybody's overwhelmed with that information.
Yeah.
I don't think it's unlike, just because it's the online world today, I don't think it's unlike like choices that you have in most everything, right? Where can you find a good one? And so what do? We rely on word of mouth. We rely on recommendations from our peers who have had a good coach and can recommend a good coach. And so I think that it's good that we have the community and coaches that are out there. Hopefully you have a good reputation. And if you don't, and if you're just kind of a fly-by-night coach, well, people will find that out too. So I think that in a way, it's good that there is lots of talk and communication. And I always tell, people, testimonials they're so worthwhile, and word of mouth and recommendations. It really is kind of the way, I think, to get work, to get a good coach, to do all of that. But I'm talking, for me, I'm involved in the performance aspect of the coaching, but you, right? First of all, you can have the best voice, you can do the best audition, you can have the best performance skills ever. But if somebody doesn't know how to find you, or you're not marketing yourself properly, or you don't have your business set up properly, guess what? You're going to sit there and not get hired. I just spoke to a new student the other day who I literally said he's got 4 demos, and he said, like, he's been in the business for 6 years, and he's like, well, I don't have an agent yet, and I haven't had a VO job yet. And I'm like, well, why have you not had a VO job yet? I mean, he's not like he hasn't spent his money. You know what I mean? And so he needs, right? And then I went and looked at his website. There's absolutely no, and I said, well, you have no examples of work that you've done. You have, and you can't expect to get it all with just an agent, depending on the genre you're in. And he basically, I said, you can have the best voice in the world, but it's not going to do you any good if nobody can find you. So that's where your business coaching comes into play. So it's not just performance coaching that I think is necessary. And business coaching is the non-sexy. It's kind of like I do corporate voiceover, and it's like the non-sexy, part of voiceover. I think business coaching sometimes gets that same stigma. And in fact, it's something that I think people need more than ever today.
Right.
Talk about that, Tom.
Of course, as the VO strategist, I always say that everybody should get a business coach. But to your point is that you could work with me for years and have the best business model, have the best marketing strategies. But if you're not an effective performer, it's not going to matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like you said, you could be the best performer in the world, but if nobody knows you exist, it's not going to matter either. So it's this synergistic relationship of developing your what I call your storytelling skills, your VO 101 skills, breath control, microphone technique, your genre skills, to be able to be demo ready to make that shiny demo, and then you can do the things with the demo, which is what I, as the VO strategist, helps everybody with. And everybody has their own journey. Everybody has their own relationship with themselves internally, which it's our job as coaches to be like, okay, how does this person tick? How does this person respond? How does this person respond to criticism? How does this person respond to praise? How does this person respond to data? And everybody has their own ideas of what success is for them. And these people love these social media platforms, and these people hate social media, and these people hate all social media, and these people hate online casting sites, and so on and so forth. So everybody has their own biases and tendencies. And as effective coaches on both a performance level and a business and marketing level, it's our job to be able to navigate that. And that's why the single most important skill that every voiceover coach, performance, business, marketing, tech, or otherwise, has to have is the ability to listen. Which also is the same exact skill that every voice actor needs to be a successful, effective, relevant voice actor. So if you're having a conversation with someone you're considering coaching with, and you can't get a word in because they're talking about themselves or that one cartoon they did 30 years ago, or if it's all sell, 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 that tells you something, because they are not asking you what your pain points are.
Sure.
Every good marketer...
to help you solve them.
Exactly. Every good marketer, through whether it's a commercial, tired of using this old mop this way, that's identifying the pain point. If I use this mop stinks, go use this mop's great. If there isn't any kind of like any kind of back and forth reciprocal, what are you going through? What challenges have you, dude? What are your struggles? Oh, okay. Well, based on this, this, and this, I can help you with this, this, and this, as opposed to some, old hack who's just going to throw
Sure.
these stock scripts at you and, in 3 lessons, and then you get your demo
Or-
using the same scripts that
or
everybody
a new hack.
uses.
Or a new hack who,
There are new
which
hacks.
we've seen a lot of those out
I
there,
have
too.
noticed quite a few new hacks lately, both in the performance and business and marketing categories.
I think also when you talk about an industry that has evolved and changed so much, and especially this year's been an interesting year. I mean, you've got changes in things outside of the industry that are affecting corporations and affecting people who advertise and affecting the climate of what we do. And so that makes people scared to advertise. Sometimes it makes people scared to spend money. It makes, there's all sorts of things happening outside of our industry that affect our industry, as well as, what's happening in your own personal life. So we talk about the necessity of performance coaching and business coaching, but there's also, believe it or not, there's something to be said for, coaching of the mind and coaching to be a confident performer, a confident business person, somebody who can be competitive and negotiate in these times where it seems like everybody's vying for the same job. And so there's also mindset skills, I think, that are also valuable to be coached. I think, like you said it in the beginning, like a lifelong learner. I think we always have to be learning. We always have to be learning. And do we have to spend tons of money doing it? No, not necessarily. But I do think that there's an investment there. And I think it's something that you need to revisit if you did get coaching prior to your demo maybe 5 years ago, and now maybe you need a new demo. I personally think that everything needs a refresh. And if you haven't coached in a while, I feel like having someone else's ears listen to you. And if you haven't been booking, like, why? Why is that? Go to a trusted coach and have them listen to you and see if maybe you've fallen into some sort of a rut where maybe you're not delivering performance-wise. Or, for example, when I spoke to the student yesterday who's like, well, I haven't gotten a job yet. And I'm like, okay, first of all, I'm looking at your website and you don't have downloadable demos. Your website, your demos are 5 years old. There's lots of things that can contribute to not getting hired. And so I think that the coaching yes, it's definitely investment. But again, remember, any business, you have investments. And I think that, again, more than ever, it is important to be educated and understand how you can evolve with the changing VO industry of today.
I think I agree with everything that you said wholeheartedly. On top of all that, all voice actors need to invest in empowerment. That is one of the biggest deficiencies that most aspiring voice actors have coming into the industry. They immediately disempower themselves. They immediately devalue themselves because they have this, and this is a system of thought thing that I talk about all the time, Ann, is that most people coming into the voice industry think that the industry is vertical. It's a ladder or a mountain, and you have to climb it. And as you climb it, you kick people in the face and knock them off the ladder or the mountain like it's some reality show. And you go, ha, I take your videos now. Ha,
Sure.
I narrate them, you don't, blah, blah. Like, that's not how it works. I've always talk about how the voiceover industry is spherical, and you're the center of your sphere, and your job is to expand your sphere and empower yourself by including as many good humans in it as possible, both agents and managers and audio engineers and coaches and fellow voice actors and your accountant and your lawyer and your graphic designer or your social media manager or whoever, to empower you so you can make the best decisions possible to expand that sphere and move your voiceover business forward. So to work with an effective coach, just to be educating yourself in general, is to empower you.
Sure, absolutely.
On both a personal and a professional level. And the more that you can do that, the better chance you have of making those voiceover dreams come true.
Yeah. I mean, and speaking of, we always talk about what are the red flags? What are the what are the red flags, right? How do we know a coach is worthy of my investment, right? A coach, a business coach, or a performance coach. I like to start with, first of all, let's talk about what it takes to get a good coach. I mean, what are the green flags, right? What do you look for in a good coach? What are some properties of a good coach?
Well, you touched on this earlier. Reputation is definitely one. I mean, there's the reputation of someone like a Jennifer Hale, who holds the Guinness World Record for the most amount of video game characters ever recorded by a female. So that there's a level of something that comes with that. Jen also happens to be a great articulator and a great coach. But then there's other coaches that have done one character decades ago, hasn't done much work since, and then that's the only thing that they hang their shingle and their reputation on, this one character that they played a very, very long time ago. Jennifer, like you and me and a bunch of our other coaching and voiceover friends, are boots on the ground, day to day, dare I say, in the trenches, voice actors. We are working, we are auditioning and marketing and booking regularly. So I always say the first green flag for a good voiceover coach is to go to their voice actor website and go check that out. See what they've got, see what they have done recently, see if their demos and YouTube channels and playlists have been updated recently. Check their IMDb profiles and see what work they have done. And layered on top of that, as a voice actor reputation, obviously as a voiceover coach reputation, testimonials on the website, testimonials on social media platforms, conversations that people are having behind our back on various social media platforms or in subreddits or Discord servers or Facebook groups. Like that's some of the major, those are two of the biggest green flags is to, because you never know. And there is no guarantee of any voice actor achieving any level of success, but your chances of empowerment will increase if you work with someone who knows what they're doing, has been doing it for a long time, and is doing it today.
Yeah, exactly. So they have evolved over the evolution of the voiceover industry, and so they know what agents are looking for. They know what casting directors are looking for. They know what is relevant and current in the industry. So red flags on the other side?
Well, the red flags are if they just started. There's a lot of voice actors or aspiring voice actors who do a couple of gigs and all of a sudden they hang out their shingle as a voiceover business coach and marketing coach or performance coach. You and I see it all the time.
I think there has to be some longevity to it.
Yeah, there needs to be some longevity. Yeah. Now, everybody has to start somewhere, and someone who may turn out to be the greatest performance or business coach ever has to start somewhere and start with one student, and you know what I mean. But for those that haven't been in the industry for very long, that have little or no IMDb credits or have little or no samples on their voiceover website, and all of a sudden they're a coach.
Sure.
Well, that's telling you something, and I've seen it from personal experience. People working, for example, with me, get some business coaching from me, and then a couple months later, they're all of a sudden a business coach, and I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah. They never last.
Well,
they never last, though.
For me, it's always like, and people say this all the time, right? The quick success, right? And I see it in ads, in ads like, hey, you don't need expensive equipment or training to be a voice actor, and those are designed to sell the dream. And again, we have to say it, and it sounds like a broken record, but just if we reach just one person, right? And I always tell people, like, honestly, it's a skill. You're becoming an actor. I mean, that doesn't happen overnight. It is a marathon, not a sprint. It really is a marathon. And the people who are truly successful in this industry know that. No, and by marathon, I'm not talking 6 months. I'm not talking 3 months. I'm talking years of working in this industry and putting in the work, doing the auditions, getting the training. Those are the ones that become successful.
Absolutely. This is a long-term investment.
Yeah.
It's just like going to college, going to medical school, going to trade school, going to vocational school. It takes a long time to develop the skills and collect the tools, both literal, physical, microphone, headphones, DAW, and the other business and marketing tools, understanding how to write a business plan, how to create a marketing strategy, how to make long-term investments through blogging and social media, how to make short-term investments through auditioning on free casting sites, and then developing your skills, and then maybe moving to pay-to-play casting sites, which have higher quality, higher paying auditions, and then using that to develop your skills to maybe then you're ready to submit to agents. There are things that have to happen in order. You know, a tomato can't grow until you plant the seed, water it, and wait.
Right. Exactly. Well, I love that, because I have so many people are like, well, I can't invest in another demo or more coaching until I make money in the industry. So, oh gosh, I wish I had a nickel for every time somebody said that to me. And I'm like, but it doesn't quite work like that. In reality, you do have to make an initial upfront investment, and it may take you a minute before you make that money back. And so you've got to get the skills developed in both running your business, establishing that, hanging out the shingle on your online website. There's money involved in that. There's money involved in, setting up your business or getting, good business coaching, advertising yourself. And there's, of course, money in performance-wise, being coached so that you're competitive in today's industry. You're competitive and doing well. And even the people who are great performers, it's not always an immediate return on investment. I've spoken to veterans out there. You have to understand, you have to be in it long enough to understand that you're not going to get a commercial a day necessarily. I don't know anybody that ever has. And that dream can't be sold to you. You really just have to be, I think, you have to think what I always go back to Malcolm Gladwell, 10,000 hours. Really, 10,000 hours of effort and, to really start to see effective success. And that's a lot of hours. That's a lot of auditions. It doesn't mean you have to have 10,000 hours of coaching, but you have to have enough coaching so that you know what you don't know and you realize what you don't know. And then you evolve into growing into a better performer, a better actor, a better business person. How Tom, if somebody's interested in it, how much would you say when is a good time to invest? When do they take that step and say, plunk down my money? Here's my money. Coach me.
I would say,
what has to happen?
I think the first thing that has to happen is that they have to invest in storytelling training first. Theater training, on-camera training, singing training, improv training, stand-up comedy training. Pick one of those disciplines.
But does that mean they have to spend money and go to an acting class?
Not necessarily. Their improv troops are free. Open mic night is free. There's community theater is free. There's lots of places where they can develop that skill, because first they need to find out if they have that skill.
They don't want to be on stage. That's why they're right. That's why they're doing it behind the mic. That's why, right? So for those people.
Right. And the thing about that is they need to find out if they have the ability, through the power of their voice, to engage and be engaging. If you can do that through those, then that's when I think is a good time to start your VO training. Here's the other thing, Ann, is that, you mentioned briefly AI at the beginning of it. If you aren't better than AI when you're starting to invest in your training, you're not going to get anywhere.
Exactly.
And what's going to make the difference?
And AI reads really well. So if you're nothing but a really pretty reader,
you got no shot.
You're not going to advance.
That's why getting acting, theater, improv, stand-up, or singing training is going to you're hitting the ground running by already being better than AI once you're ready for your VO training. That's why I think you should really start that way.
One thing I do want to stress is that my coaching has always been acting-based. It starts with acting-based. So for those people who've never taken an acting course, I always recommend that they take an acting course anyway, because there's a subtle difference between acting in front of other people or acting with people and then acting behind the mic. And it's nice to have that 360-degree view of all the aspects of the acting. And a good coach will teach you voice acting and not just here's a script, here's how, and direct you to a sound that would sound good on a demo, really. And that's why I concentrate. I'm almost obsessed with personally training people to be good actors, because that's going to last them so much longer than just a directed demo, right? Because if any good director can direct you to a good demo, really, it's, you know, they can give you the read that people are looking for, and then you can have a great demo. But then all of a sudden, when you're asked to produce that, or you're trying to audition and you're wondering why you're not booking the jobs, that's because you haven't established the basic skills, the basic acting skills required. So definitely investment is not just in a voice acting coach, but yes, in, I think, acting classes, improv classes, all of that can help. All of that can help.
Absolutely. It's just going to make you that much better, that much faster, and that much better of a decision maker than AI, because the real skill when it comes to true performance is not about what impressions you can do, is can you make strong acting choices quickly?
Right.
And if you can do that, when the client says, hey, ABC that for me, and you can give them 3 takes with different emphasis and different motivations and different levels of engagement, that's what's going to get you ahead of the pack.
Yeah. And honestly, it's one of those things that you have to understand, that if you happen to just be beginning in this industry and you watch social media, be careful with that, because a lot of what happens on social media is all the positive things, all the, hey, I booked the gig, but I can't tell you about it, or the illusion that, you know, people are successful, because, you know, it takes a very special person to be on social media and say, oh gosh, I didn't nail it and I'm so upset. Because a lot of times, well, first of all, if it's something that's under NDA, we can't really talk about it anyways. But if you give the illusion, or you're looking at other people that are giving the illusion that they're successful, and you have to, you know, and making tons of money, and they just started, or they didn't do it this way. There's multiple ways to be successful in voiceover. And there are some people that would say you don't necessarily need coaching. Honestly, I don't buy into that, but I think at some point everybody needs to have that extra ear hearing them, or giving them some sort of education about it, whether it could be a manager, it could be a talent agent. It doesn't have to be an actual voiceover coach, but somebody that's giving you feedback, so that you can then take that feedback and improve, do what you need to educate and improve yourself.
I think you touched upon something very critical, which is one of the most important skills is the ability to self-direct. And with COVID wiping out all in-person auditions, at least here in New York City, and for most voice actors, almost 100% of their actual bookings are going to be taking place at home, not being directed, then you need to learn how to listen to yourself objectively when it comes to pace and tone and inflection and sibilance and regionalisms and mic placement and breath control, and obviously performance choices, that you should be able to learn how to hear yourself and adjust accordingly. Because if you can't do that, you can't be an effective voice actor.
That's a process. This being able to self-direct, being able to develop an ear. An ear doesn't happen overnight, typically. It just doesn't. It's hard for people to actually hear themselves without actually hearing how they sound and to evaluate themselves as an actor. So it is tough, and it does take, I think, a lot of, I'm going to say a lot of practice, a lot of, auditions, a lot of failing, a lot of just going, oh shoot, what could I have done wrong, or maybe feedback. And so there's a lot to that. I mean, gosh, we could just go on all day. But guys, again, we're both coaches. Of course we'd love it if you coach with us, but just know that it's valuable. It's valuable in today's voiceover industry to have another set of ears, to have a trusted coach, somebody that's what they do. They've been established in the business, that is guiding you along this career, which again is a marathon, not a sprint. Not a sprint. Good discussion, Tom.
Yeah.
Good discussion. All right, guys, I'm going to give a great big shout out to our sponsor, IPDTL. You too can network and connect like bosses, like real bosses. Find out more at IPDTL.com. Have an amazing week, and we'll see you next week. Bye.